It's really cool when there's strangers who ask me about my birth experience because, everyone wants to know about that with twins because it's very unique. And I get to share that I had my babies at home, and I have noticed that people are like blown away that like we can actually birth our babies vaginally. And
Hmm.
somehow it is possible. It's super wild to process that, but it's just like so cool what we can do as moms.
Welcome to the Twin Mom Life Podcast. I'm your host, Jess. I created this podcast to help build community, connection, and most importantly, friendships among moms of multiples. Being a twin mom can be amazing and magical. That twin bond is unlike anything I've ever witnessed. But it can also be isolating and overwhelming. I'll be chatting with other twin moms, diving deep into the twin experience, giving advice on what works for us so you don't have to learn the hard way. Juggling two babies at the same time is challenging, but I'm confident we can learn from each other and figure out how to raise these babies together. Today we have Victoria. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing really good. Just so excited to be here.
Yes, me too. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I have Modi twins. They're like 10 months, I think this week. And I've got a toddler, so 3 kiddos. I am in the Denver area, and last August I had them at home, and ever since just been really passionate about just sharing that moms have options when it comes to birth and just how to advocate for yourself and how to empower moms.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to learn more about your home birth. Like I was telling you off air, we have interviewed people who have done unmedicated deliveries and vaginal deliveries, but everything has been in the hospital. So
Yeah.
I just am so fascinated by home births and your preparation for all of that. So I'm really excited to dive in.
Yeah, it's definitely on the rare side for sure.
Yeah, especially with twins.
Right.
That's like the added layer of like, this was not just like a
Yes.
singleton. Well, did you with your singleton also?
We were at a birth center, so kinda like a
Okay.
home birth, but super cozy, but not quite the same as home.
That was like your gateway drug.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Just
that's
wanted
awesome.
to try that out first, and we were living in, like, Portland, Oregon at the time, and there's this wonderful birth center, that we had heard of. We had some family members who had given birth there, and so, that just felt like the right place for our first.
Sure. Yeah, I totally get that. Well, before we dive into it all, can you tell me how you filled your cup today or if you have plans to do so?
That's so good. Well, today we just kinda took a Sabbath. Um, it's funny, we didn't actually make it to church today, and we just took it easy, slow morning, and my husband and I, we just got our coffees and we read our Bible today.
Hmm. That's
And it was a
sweet.
little bit, chaotic still, but he's like reading it out loud, and, the kids are being loud and stuff, but we did our best to fill our cup, and later, we're gonna go on a walk, and we're gonna walk to the library.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. My kids have been super into going to our local library.
Mhm.
They're doing like a summer reading program.
Yeah.
So you fill out a sheet and then every time you read, for a few hours, you get prizes. So it's like a big thing in our house. So I love that.
That's amazing. How old are your kids?
Okay. So my daughter is almost 6.5 and my
Wow,
boys
okay.
actually turn 3 tomorrow.
Oh, stop, that's so sweet, they're growing up.
I know.
Aw,
I cannot believe that, honestly.
yeah. Do
Hmm.
they have, like, reddish orange hair?
Yes.
They are so cute. I don't think I've seen their faces, obviously, I think you sometimes will cover up their faces, but
Hmm.
I'm just, like, I'm obsessed with, like, the
Oh,
orange hair. It's so
I will
cute.
tell you, I feel like I get more comments about their hair color sometimes than, like, having
Mhm.
twins. because
That's
it's
so
kind of
funny.
a yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like it's kind of, more of a unique red. It's
Yeah.
almost the boys have, like, a brighter red than my daughter. Like, hers has
Mm.
kind of gotten more auburn, like, with age. So I would kinda
Yeah.
call their red like an auburn.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
Does
It's
your
I
husband have red hair?
No, I know,
That's
genetics
so
is
funny.
wild, man.
Yeah.
So, my
Mhm.
great-grandmother had red hair,
Okay.
and my husband's great-grandfather had red hair, and then just, like, all of our
Mm.
children.
There you go. Got it from them.
Mhm. I know, it's
I
really
love
fun,
it.
and there's, like, no one else. No, like, cousins or siblings that have red hair in our family. It's just our kids, so
That's so
it's
special.
it's fun. It's really fun, but yes, like, shocking, a lot of like I said, more comments about that than twins, which
Mhm.
is
'Cause
I mean, you have twins, you get a lot of
that's
comments.
surprising. You
Yeah.
do. It's like you're
Yeah.
famous everywhere you go.
Yes, and I feel like maybe I feel like the comments kind of calm down as they get a little bit older. Like, I think it's still
Mhm.
very obvious that my twins are twins because 'cause they're still toddlers. They're
Yeah.
almost the exact same size, and they are identical. But I feel like as
Okay.
kids get older, I don't know, maybe comments are less, I don't know. I feel like I got the most comments when I had, like, double strollers, 2
Yes,
car
yes.
seats, you know, like,
Mhm. Very
you ha the whole
obvious.
yeah, like, the whole situation, I feel like is a little
Yes.
more obvious. But
Mhm. For sure.
okay, I'm thinking for me, so my husband and I just started doing this schedule, and I love it. So
Mm.
on Saturdays, he gets to sleep in. I'm air quoting that
I
because
saw that. Oh, that's so amazing.
it's
I
so
saw
nice,
your
and we
Instagram today.
yes, I posted about it on Instagram because I feel like a big thing that I've learned through, first of all, just being a mom for almost 7 years and asking this question of, like, "How did you fill your cup today?" It does not
Mhm.
need to be this, like, extravagant thing. So,
Yeah.
I wanna clarify, like, when I say we slept in, we each allow each other to have kind of a slow morning,
Mm.
doing whatever you wanna do, free time without the kids, only until 8:30. So, it's not
8:30. Okay.
like yeah,
Mhm.
which is it doesn't seem like a lot, but,
It's a big when you have kids.
yes, I feel like our kids typically wake up around 7, 7:30. So we're getting an hour to, like, drink our coffee slowly
Mm.
or do whatever we want for that hour, hour and a half. And it was just so rejuvenating. I did, like, little eye masks this morning. And see, that's what I mean
Mhm.
about your self-care doesn't have to be like, "Oh, I had a spa day." No, like, literally, you
Right.
can put on eye
Simple.
masks. Yes, and you
Yeah.
can feel refreshed. So it was my morning today, and that was
Mm.
so
Ooh,
nice. It was really nice.
that's
And we
so
did
lovely.
yeah, I really loved it, and we went to church. We've been going to, a local church for, like, maybe 6 months, and my parents went with us today. So
Aw.
that felt really special. My mom normally works on Sundays, and she did. She had to go to work after,
Mm.
but she was able to kinda rework her schedule to go to church with us. I feel like we've been talking about that for months, so it finally happened today. So, yeah,
Oh,
just
that's really
filling my cup
special.
and
Mm.
yeah, it was really special to do that, and my kids were so excited to have Mimi and Papa at church too. So
Yeah.
and then since the boys turn 3 tomorrow, they moved up to the
Oh,
threes class.
wow. That's exciting. Are
Yeah,
you
and
planned for a party, or what does that look like for you guys?
okay, so we are doing a no party year,
Yeah,
which is just freeing.
totally. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice. So we had big parties last year. It was so
Mhm.
fun, and now I need a little break.
I get it. I totally get it. Yep.
Yes. So we did the zoo yesterday with a couple of friends. And one thing maybe I wouldn't do next time is I brought cupcakes.
Mhm.
It was a disaster. I was like to all the moms, I was like, I'm so sorry. I brought
Mhm.
like at Costco, I got, 4th of July red, white, and blue icing
Yeah.
cupcakes that essentially melted.
I
And the
wondered about that,
kids,
yeah. Ugh.
I tried to freeze them and I
Yeah.
just don't think it was enough. It was too hot. I live in
Mm.
Central Texas. It was like
Okay, yeah.
95. So,
Yeah, those cupcakes are not gonna survive.
yes. But,
Oh.
so we did the zoo with 2 other families. We had so much fun. And one thing we did this year and we'll do again tomorrow on their actual birthday. But I saw someone post on Instagram actually about singing happy birthday twice so that
Mm,
each of my sons gets, like, their own song. So, in prior years, we've just sang and, like, put their names in the song together. And this
yeah.
year, I was like, you sing happy birthday for, 30 seconds. We absolutely need to make time for them to have their own song." And
Mhm.
they
That's special.
loved it. It was so
Oh,
cute. It was so cute.
that's
So
such a good idea. I definitely wanna keep that in mind to, like, make each kid feel special.
yes, and
Yeah.
it just was something little where maybe you'd think like, "Oh, what's the big deal of just, like, putting their names together?" But
Yeah.
I feel like, me, I'm almost 37, and when I tell my husband, I'm like, "I don't need, like, a big grand birthday. I'm have everything I need, I'm happy." But one thing I always want on my birthday, like, get me a little cupcake or a little cake and sing me
Mm,
happy birthday.
yeah.
That is the big thing that you do on your birthday and you blow out the candle. So for them to each have their own, we did not bring
Mm.
candles to the zoo.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But we'll do that tomorrow. But,
Yes.
they got to each have their own song and we
Mm,
got a video of it and just watching each of them like get that little attention and like that
mm,
focus. It was so sweet.
mm.
So,
I love that so much.
yeah. So I feel like kind of emotional about it. I feel
Yeah.
like that transition from 2 to 3 feels, I mean, they will always be my babies.
Always. Yeah.
But it just feels like a little bit of a bigger transition of, like, right now they still are in cribs. Of course, they still
Mhm.
have car seats, but I feel like we're slowly gonna be phasing out of all of that. Like, they
Right.
don't really
Yeah.
use their high chairs anymore. So it's like all
Mm,
these
mhm.
things that make them, like, more infants, they're kind of
Yeah.
growing out of. So it
Ugh,
is bittersweet.
that's so special, just seeing them grow up from that infant stage to, still toddlers, but that's a big deal.
And how old is your toddler?
She's 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's
Hmm.
not 3 yet, but we had her birthday just recently because her birthday is right before Christmas, so we had a birthday party, and I was just telling my husband, "I don't think the boys are gonna have their first birthday just because they're not gonna remember, and it'd be too much." So, I think I'm gonna wait till they're 2 where they're actually going to be, um, involved in it, you know? So I get you on the whole birthday thing, it's a lot. Like, I had to recover for 2 weeks of, like, I don't wanna see anybody for 2 weeks
I get
because
that. Yes.
yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
just, like, everything that comes with it. Like, I would say I'm
Yes.
pretty extroverted, but I feel like as I'm getting older and now that I've had more kids, I really do need, like, downtime, alone time to kind of
Yeah,
feel centered again. But it's, like,
yeah,
all of the planning and the decor, and it kind of sometimes can get out of hand.
for
So
sure.
it you know what I mean? So it's been nice to just like I think our plan is to do every other year. So
Mm,
we did similar with
yeah.
our daughter was a COVID baby. So
Mm,
we did not have a big first birthday party. We had a big second one. And then that just kind of became the tradition in our family. So the
yeah.
boys didn't have a first birthday party. We went to the zoo, actually, that's kind of become a
Mhm.
tradition, and then
Yeah,
we had a big party for their second birthday party, which was last
perfect.
year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we'll go big for 7 and 4 next year.
I will probably do the same thing. I love that idea.
It's nice and it just takes the pressure off, and I feel
Mhm.
like in our family, we've really been trying to gravitate towards, like, doing activities together
Yeah.
versus, like, a big party, and, actually what we let our daughter do is she's just graduated kindergarten, so she's gonna be in
Mm,
1st grade in August, which is also so weird,
yeah,
but we allowed her to have 3 friends over and do, like, a pizza movie night. So she still
perfect.
got, yeah, and it felt,
Yeah.
like, very low pressure, super, like, casual,
Mhm.
and she had a blast. I was actually shocked by how loud 4 six-year-olds were.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a fun age.
Yeah, it really is. So, okay, well, I would love to hear about your twin birth
Yeah.
and, like, how you made the decision to do a home birth and all of that. So
Mhm.
can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, um, I went back to the birth center to we knew that we were not gonna be there because we were moving at the time, but we just wanted to see those midwives again and just get care there until we moved from Oregon to Colorado. And so they don't do, like, ultrasounds, the midwives. They will do, like, Dopplers, so they have someone come in and bring in their ultrasound equipment. And so I got an ultrasound there, and the tech is, like, really quiet. And I'm like, "Is everything okay?" Because it was making me nervous. I am very sensitive to people's anxiety, or I could feel that something was off.
Mhm.
And he said, or so I asked him, "Is that the little one in there?" And he said, "There are 2 little ones." And I was like, "What?" It had never crossed my mind that I would ever have twins, even though it does run in the family apparently. But I never considered it, which is so funny. And in that moment, he probably overstepped a little bit just because he's not like a doctor, but he said that, "You're having Modi twins, that's high risk, and you're probably gonna need a C-section just because the issues that could come up with Modi twins, which is 2 sacs and 1 placenta, and that you would need to go to maternal fetal medicine doctors every 2 weeks." And so that was kinda overwhelming, like, the first 5 minutes of, like,
I'm
finding out I was
so
having
shocked he
twins.
said that.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty shocking for me, and I definitely cried a little bit. 'Cause I was overwhelmed, and I hadn't experienced care, just with OBs before, so that was just also new. So I needed to find, like, a little bit of care in Oregon before moving. So we went, I wanna say, like, twice to maternal fetal medicine in Oregon, and I just didn't experience the best care.
Mm,
I was asked if I wanted to, like, keep my twins, if I wanted to
mm,
be pregnant, and I know that that's, like, more common now, like, even if you have, like, a singleton where they might ask you that. Um, but it just was sad to be asked that when I, wasn't desiring that, and just the way they viewed twin pregnancies was just, felt like there was some sort of condition,
mm.
without knowing if I had a condition. And so definitely felt viewed as disabled or something, or
Mhm.
twins, in that, not that they are or are not, but just that they already had that kind of mindset, assuming that I wouldn't want twins.
That's so
Yeah.
hard, and I feel like this has been, like, a theme that's come up in the podcast too, is, like, having twins is so hard. That does not
Yeah.
mean that it's not a blessing. Like, it is the
Yes.
greatest thing that I've experienced in my life alongside, being the mother to my daughter. So, I'm so
Mhm.
sorry that you were so immediately hit with so much negativity around
Mhm.
your pregnancy.
Yeah,
Especially, it's like finding out you're twins is already so shocking. Like, you need
it
to just
is.
digest that part before
Mhm.
you can start thinking about, yeah, like, I'm thinking back to mine and our we were t so I have di twins who are identical, so they have their own
Mhm.
sacs, their own placentas, but they're identical. So I was
Yeah,
told they were
that's cool.
fraternal. It's
Mhm.
pretty neat,
Mm.
which is wrong, they're not fraternal.
Yeah.
But I wasn't hit with, like, that negativity. I feel like once I
Mhm.
talked to my doctor, she was kind of just very factual. One
Mhm,
of the
mhm.
sacs was smaller, so she had mentioned vanishing twin syndrome.
Right,
And
okay.
but I feel like it was much more factual, and
Mhm,
I
mhm.
also was high risk with my daughter.
Mhm.
I have a blood clotting disorder, so I did see maternal fetal medicine with my daughter, so I guess all of that
Totally.
wasn't as shocking to me,
Mhm,
but I feel
mhm.
like getting hit with so much negativity, like you said in the first 5 minutes, that's a
Yeah,
lot, and I'm just really
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, thank you for just sharing that. And yeah, I completely understand where it's like you have a medical condition, you need extra support. That is very needed. And we need that just for different emergencies and stuff. And it's just like I noticed that all twin moms are put in this like high risk category
Mhm.
and there's like no room for individualized care. That's what I noticed. Where it's like there's different brackets. Like I believe that you said Dai twins, is that what you have from their perspective? And mine's like medium, and then there's like Momo twins, which is is it one sac and one placenta? Yeah. Is that what you know of? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just that each of those, they must be induced or like a scheduled C-section. Like for mine, it's like 37 weeks. That's like very strongly recommended. And was yours like 39 weeks?
So the goal was to make it to 38. And
Okay.
actually, because I have a blood clotting disorder, even with my daughter, I didn't go past 38 weeks
Got it.
because
Okay.
I'm at increased risk for stillbirth. So
Totally.
even with just a singleton, that was, I don't know, a rule or whatever with what I
Yeah.
have. But
Gotcha. Yep.
once I found out it was twins, I agree with you. I feel like I was very lucky to initially have a provider who was on the same page as me. Because once I
Mm,
found out it was twins, I was like, if
yeah.
I don't medically need a
Yeah.
C-section, I don't want one. I
Yeah.
had had a vaginal delivery with my daughter. It was
Mhm.
overall a fairly good experience. And, a C-section is not the easy way out. It is a
No.
full
Yeah.
abdominal surgery.
Yeah.
And that is not something that I was very afraid to find a doctor who was like, "Oh, twins equal C-section."
Mhm.
And I was telling my husband, like, "If that's what our doctor says, then we will find another doctor." Because I found
That's
out pretty
great.
early. I think I
Yeah.
was 6 weeks that we found out it was twins.
Mm.
Um, so I just got very lucky. Sorry, my daughter's outside and she just waved at me through the window like,
Oh, cute.
"Hi."
Aw,
Sorry,
you're
um
good.
But yeah, so how did you move providers or what did you do to kind of get out of that box that you were put in, that like
For
high
sure.
risk box?
Yeah, and so we moved to Colorado. I was looking for an OB who had skills in breech and who wouldn't automatically do C-section. And so there were 2 doctors in Colorado who I knew of, and there was this man who everyone just wants to go to because he's, like, super supportive, kinda more hands-off doctor, and he was actually booked out, and I feel like that was
Mm,
actually a closed door so that I could actually find my midwife.
mm,
And so I was with this OB for a short time. She was really great and, definitely leaned a little bit more as close as you could get to, like, a midwife, and like I said, just had some skills, but the thing is that she might have not been on, the day that I was giving birth, so she had, like, another person who's very high C-section, and so that made me a little bit nervous,
mhm,
and I didn't know this until I toured the hospital. But you obviously know this, that towards the end of labor, if you're wanting a vaginal birth, you still need to go in the OR.
mhm,
And, I guess that was, like, shocking for me, and I, like, questioned the nurse. I said, "If everything's great, there's no complications, why do I need to move rooms?" And I just kind of asked her some questions, and she just said, "We strongly recommend that." And so after that, I really was on the lookout for another provider. And not to say that, like, okay, there are emergencies, and I think it's so important to say that and to have that care. Um, and so I'm not like poo pooing hospitals in any way. I was just questioning, like, if everything is going right and you have a healthy pregnancy and your baby's doing okay, I just maybe don't feel the need for that. Like, I feel like it increases the risk for a C-section just moving
mhm,
into the OR.
mhm.
But I understand just the precaution of doing that. And so my husband actually saw this, like, twin home birth blog in the mountains of Colorado, and that was just kinda the start, and it wasn't until we moved to Colorado, my friend who lived there also saw the same blog, so she reached out to the photographer, and I was able to get the midwife's number, and I find out I know,
I love
just
that
so much
connection.
yeah, so much, like, weight lifted off of me. And so, she called me after I emailed her and just heard that she's a very skilled midwife, has worked with many twins, has gotten training from Dr. Stu. He trains midwives or really anyone. He trains OBs, he trains maternal fetal medicine if they're, open to doing that. He's told me that he's trained all kinds of people, doulas, how to do breech, and then
Mhm.
just different things about twins and what their needs could be, and how he did a study on 100 moms who were planning a home birth, and he broke down, like, who was transferred, who had a C-section, who ended up having a home birth, who was breech, and so that's, like, a really great study I would share with people who are desiring a home birth or just like a vaginal breech birth if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Oh, I can
Um,
totally link that in the show notes. That's
yeah, I
awesome.
will send that to you. Yeah.
Thanks.
And so it was probably like 16 to 18 weeks was when I transferred, and she has her own ultrasound equipment. She had training, like the
Cool.
full ultrasound thing. The only thing that she needed was anatomy scan just because they really go in depth, and she just wanted their skills to see some of those things. And so I just had one more appointment with maternal fetal medicine. I had canceled all appointments with my OB of just like, I need my records. And yeah, so when I went to my last appointment at maternal fetal medicine, I had three different people corner me, trying to convince me to tell them who my provider was. And it
Why does
was,
that matter?
I don't, I have no idea. And it was really strange. And I just said, I just want my records. And so I just kept getting cornered. And finally, like, the doctor came in, and I was just like, "I know all the risks. I just need my records, okay?" And so, thankfully, I was able to get out of there, and it was really like I felt like the birth police came after me and I was in trouble. Yeah. So, I definitely question myself, like, "Am I doing something wrong?" Like, these people, are the experts, and I definitely had moments of doubt of like, am I doing the right thing? And planning out this home birth with my midwife, we had a plan for a hospital transfer that the OB that I originally wanted, he was going to be the backup person of like, if we need a
Hmm.
transfer, we're going to transfer to him because he's not going to treat me bad if I had a home birth and I was like transferred. Um,
That is so sad that you even had to think about that, of, like,
yeah.
how you would be treated because you chose to give birth in a non-hospital setting.
Yeah. And also, they called my OB that I had canceled with, and, so when these people are talking to me, I look at my phone and my OB's calling me as, like, the 4th person trying to, like, come at me. And I later called her back just because, I don't know why I did, but anyway, she asked me let's see, she said, "Are you gonna have a hospital birth?" And I said, I don't need to tell you what I'm gonna do." And she said, "Well, I just wanna make sure Evelyn will be able to enjoy her brothers." So
No, she did not.
she pulled the dead baby card.
Oh, that's so icky.
It
That's
is, yeah.
so I don't even
And
know what to say. I can't believe she said that.
Yeah, and, like, they didn't even know that I was planning a home birth.
Oh my gosh. What did you say
Yeah.
back to that?
I just said, I'm taken care of. I've got really good care."
Well, you are nicer than me.
I, just recently shared how, like, have been wanting to send her a postcard, and I actually have it on and yeah, so I created a post, and then I had a bunch of people, like, comment, say, "Send the postcard," and I have it in my, like, to-do list to do that. Of like, "Here are my babies. They're
Right.
healthy and well."
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's so unbelievably icky for her to say
Mhm.
that. And
Yeah.
you handled that very gracefully.
Mm, thank you. Yeah, it was definitely, like, not easy, and so when I transferred to my midwife, I felt this, like, breath of fresh air, this peace, and just definitely, like, more intentional care of, like with my OB, just about 5 minutes, I got to sit down with them, and then with my midwife, an hour at least. Sometimes we'd have a lot of fun and be, like, 2 hours. And so, definitely, like, different care that I had. And so, it was 38 weeks when I actually went into labor. I didn't know if it was the real thing because I was having contractions, like, a week before.
Mm, I'm
And
sorry.
so oh, I know, it was just awful. I was ready to have my babies. So, definitely, like, confusing. So, when I actually, like, went into labor, I was, like, telling myself, like, "This is probably not the real thing," just to kinda take the pressure off.
Sure. I have my big mason jar too.
Ah, yes.
Cheers.
Yay! I have 3 drinks. I think I told you this. I've got my coffee, my, like, just regular ice water, and then electrolytes.
Nice. I love that.
Yes.
I normally do have 2, like, coffee. I just have electrolytes today.
That's perfect. What flavor?
It is the iced tea lemonade. It's so
Ooh.
good.
Lemonade
It's
is, like,
so
my favorite
refreshing.
electrolytes. It's just
It's
the best
delicious.
flavor.
And so good.
Anyway, I didn't think it was the real thing. So, around, like, 8 PM that night, just started having contractions and definitely could tell it was slowly getting more frequent, more intense, but still was kind of far apart. And so, just throughout the night was doing different things like taking a bath and doing different, like, pregnancy stretches to get in the right position and trying to, like, rest and lay down and go to sleep, and I couldn't go to sleep. My husband decided to go to sleep because he was like, "Okay, she's starting to go into labor. I need to get some rest," thinking that I would, like, go actually into labor the next day. So I'm glad he was able to get some rest. And so my toddler, we are, like, still co-sleeping, and so she's in bed while I am still in the room, like, laboring, and I cannot focus. I'm afraid she's gonna wake up. My brain is like, "Mom," but then I need to labor, and so it was like, gosh, 3 in the morning. I was, like, told Steven, "I need you to start the birth tub, and then I need your dad to come pick up Evelyn because I really need to focus."
That's what I wanted to ask you. I'm like, I
Mhm.
have so many logistical questions.
Yes. Go for it. I love it.
Okay, so the plan was to deliver, like, in a home birthing tub.
Mhm.
And
That I wasn't sure if I was gonna do that. I knew I wanted to labor, but
okay,
I had a feeling that I actually would labor out or give birth actually outside of the tub.
okay.
But I the being in the tub takes so much relief off
Mm,
of all the pressure and the contractions. It's really helpful for any intensity of labor.
yeah, I bet. And then so for that, like, you didn't have it set up ahead of time. The plan is, like, to set it up while labor is starting. That's what I'm like, where do you put that?
I
You
know,
just have,
right?
like,
'Cause
a big labor tub in your bathroom or something?
right. Yes. So, my midwife, like, brought the tub at, like, 36 weeks,
Okay.
and, like, showed us how to do it. and, like, made sure we had, like, a adapter that's connected to the shower and the hose. So just preparing all the home birth stuff. I did it, like, 32 weeks because 'cause I'm, like, have to be prepared.
With
So,
twins, you never know,
you never
really,
know.
so
Yes. And 36 weeks was, like, the cutoff. Like, if it was earlier, we would be in the hospital.
yeah,
So,
sure.
but that was kind of the goal. And so we actually were in an apartment at the time, so very small. So some people might, like, set it up, you know, if they have, like, a big space days before. Like, you just never know when you're gonna be in labor, but I was, like, pretty into labor where I was like, "Okay, it's 3 in the morning. I need you to set this up for me."
Mhm.
'Cause the actual tub was getting, like, it's just not big enough. The what
Well, the way
our
you wanna,
tubs.
like, move around and,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get that.
So, I was, like, calling my midwife probably 5 times throughout the night, letting her know my contractions are, like, far apart, but, like, this feels like the real thing, and I was really struggling with, like, when do I have them come? I was really struggling with
Mm,
that, and I was, like, going into this, like, people pleasing of I don't want all 3 midwives to come, and then I'm not in labor, or it's, like, too early labor. But then finally at 5 o'clock, I'm like, "You know what? I need to get over myself. Just come, and we'll see where I'm at, and it's okay if they have to leave, and if it's not the real thing." So she comes everyone comes at 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., and some people, when it comes to birth, they don't want a cervical check. In that moment, I felt the need because something was off in my body. Something didn't feel
mm,
right. And I know that cervical checks can really disappoint moms where they're like, I think I'm this, but I'm only 2 centimeters. So I decided to get a cervical check and find out I am 1 centimeter. And I feel pretty much in active labor at this point. I am really confused. And so my midwife, she's like, you know what? I'm noticing that there's scar tissue that you have. And
hmm,
with my past birth, I did have some scar tissue. I had a tear. And after giving birth to my daughter, the tear seemed to be a little bit deeper than what my midwife back in Oregon felt comfortable, like, sewing up. And
hmm.
so she said a couple hours, after birth, let's just go to this nearby hospital. And so that was hard, like leaving my daughter a couple hours after birth. My husband stayed at the birth center, and they said that they wanted to go to the OR and do it. And so it was like a little bit more intense. And so there was things that were sewed up that shouldn't have been sewed up, and then
Mm.
scar tissue from the tear. And so anyway, my midwife asked me if she could, like, release it, kinda move it out of the way for my body to dilate, and I was, like, totally fine with that, and my body went to 9 centimeters, and I felt that. I was, like, 9 centimeters, like, there's no way I'm 1 centimeter.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you're
Yeah,
saying fill the tub and our daughter needs to be under someone else's care, then, like,
yeah.
it's go time. Like, you've given birth before, the
Yes.
differences. That is
Mhm.
insane. So, what time frame did you go from a 1 to a 9?
Just after she had pushed it out of the way, like, my body was
Wow.
at we
Like, you
think
were at
that
a 9.
I was at a 9, and there was something blocking me from dilating. And
Sure.
that's probably why my contractions were so weird and so far apart, but they were, like, definitely getting more intense.
Mhm.
So, immediately, like, after that anyway, she was just, like, shocked, like, "You are 9 centimeters right
I
now."
bet. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, she hadn't really experienced that a whole lot, but I'm so grateful that she saw that because I probably would have been if I was, like, in the hospital, I probably would have been laboring for a long time, not progressing, and, if I don't progress, that's probably gonna lead to being induced, but then what's actually happening is I'm just not dilating, so I could have probably had, like, a C-section just because the issue was, like, the scar tissue in the way.
Mhm. Mhm.
So grateful that she saw that. And so then I went to the tub immediately and just, yeah, very intense. Definitely needed that relief. And so they were there from 6 a.m. I had the boys at 9:30 that morning. So just kind of sharing that, and then I'm gonna kinda walk you through just what I can remember. There was a point where I was feeling stuck, and usually when moms are feeling stuck in labor, that means you're probably gonna meet your baby soon where you're like, "Oh, this is so hard." Like, we usually say, "I'm done, like, I can't do this anymore." Most of us get to that point. And so I was like, "You know what? I'm feeling really stuck. I really wanna push, but I'm not feeling the urge to push." And I'm just really ready to move forward. It's time. It's go time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just go in the other room with Steven and we're gonna get some alone time. And I want that oxytocin because I know when I feel relaxed and safe, our bodies listen and our bodies dilate and the baby feels safe if we feel safe.
Mhm.
Um, and so I spent some time with him just snuggling and cuddling and just his encouragement. And so after we left the room, came back into the tub and I was just like, like just in a happy mood and felt all the oxytocin, the love feelings. And so very soon after, probably like 20 minutes, I don't know the exact time, but very soon after, I started feeling pressure in my butt and started feeling the urge to push. I felt the urge to bear down. And I just said that out loud. And I probably just should have kept that to myself because it gets everybody excited. So I probably should have just like been in the zone. So I am starting to feel the urge to push. I was using this like squeezy thing. It's not a comb, but similar to a comb where it's like
Mm.
specific like each time a contraction hit because I've got no medication. It's just me with all the feelings. And so, it's pretty intense at this point. This is the most intense part where, um, my contractions were not like, I would not say the word painful, but very uncomfortable. And like, now it's like this pressure in my butt. I feel like there's a boiling ball in my butt. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like that feeling. And so I'm still using this squeezing thing, but it's not helping because I'm putting all my pressure in my hand and I need to bear down. And so it was like I had to like tell myself to bear down and to stop focusing in like my hand. So that took me a little bit. And baby A is crowning. I don't know if we find out then or later that his forehead is presenting. And so I'm
Mm.
having a little bit of trouble.
Does that mean sunny side up?
I had that with my daughter, but I think it's just like instead of it just being straight down, his forehead is sticking out a little bit. So
Okay.
it's
Instead of
you
it
cut
being like down.
down, down. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So more like this instead of down. Yeah.
Okay.
So it just took a little bit to get him out. Definitely, roaring and mooing like a cow. Because that's what I felt like my body was like telling me to do. It's something about just like focusing downward really helps. And it looks like I am just in terrible pain and I'm very uncomfortable. But I just was like, this is what my body's telling me to do. And so just kind of like roaring my baby out. And everyone's different in how they do that. And so finally, baby A comes out, and it's just so special. Steven catches baby A, puts him on my chest, and then my midwife just checks to see where baby B's at. And baby B's head is not there, but his water bag's there. Like you don't see his head right there.
Mm.
It's just like the water bag. And so she does this maneuver on my belly. So before I had my birth, I said, you're welcome to do more hands on things. If it's like a non emergency, you're welcome to do that just so we can avoid a transfer if it's like not a huge deal, like just like getting the cervical checked and moving that tissue out, the scar tissue out of the way. I was okay with her doing those things just because I knew that I probably would, just a little bit extra care and support in that area. And so, anyway, she just pushed on my belly. It didn't hurt. I didn't even notice it. And I had a contraction and I pushed baby B out and I had like the fetal ejection reflex, which I had never experienced before. Are you familiar with that?
No, what is that?
Okay, so it's when your body takes over and it pushes your baby out where you don't actually put a ton of effort into it. It's just like your baby hits a spot where it just literally ejects out of you, which
That
is
sounds great.
I know, right? Um that is a thing and I had never experienced that before. And I had to very much like intentionally push and bear down with my others. And I had done a little bit of like research about that and wondered about that. And with the other two, just the babies were in weird positions. So it just didn't work out. And I think my midwife may have just like helped put him in the right position for him to just come right out. And yeah, just had one contraction and he was right out. And so they were about 4 minutes apart.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was just so special. And placenta came out real soon as well. Um, like I said, I had my midwife. We had talked about it before. She said, "Would you want to wait to do like the Pitocin afterwards, or do you want to just do it just in case? Because with twins, you do have a higher risk of bleeding."
Hmm.
And, usually I would be like, no, but because just with twins, I just really wanted there not to be any issues. So just like, I just said, go ahead and give me Pitocin so we can get the placenta out so we'll have no issues. So we went ahead and did that. Midwives are cool. They carry a lot of different stuff. They carry like Pitocin and a lot of the medical things that hospitals might have as well. So that was like super helpful. And like after that, just had a very minor tear, and she stitched me up, and I went to my bed and just relaxed for a little bit, and soon cut the cord. We just like waited for the cord to like stop pulsing and just kind of did some research there on like delayed cord clamping and just some of those benefits. And yeah, so that was special. And then after that, my husband like weighed the boys and we just chilled. We took a nap, all of us. Yeah. And my in laws came a couple hours later for our toddler to see the boys. So we had some special time, just the four of us, I guess. Yeah, four of us.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. What an amazing story. And I'm so glad that it just like everything turned out the way that it was supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a really special story. Okay, one question I always
Mhm.
like to ask with
Mhm.
vaginal deliveries is like, what did you do with baby A? Like, was he put on your
Mm.
chest? And then when you were
Mhm.
pushing out baby B, like, what did you do?
For sure. So baby A was immediately on my chest. And then I believe I gave baby A to my husband right next to me. And I don't think I told you, but yeah, so I didn't give birth in the birth tub. I was like right outside of it and I was doing all these different positions because I just was trying to figure out which one was right for me. And I ended up giving birth like sideways. So they brought a pillow from my bedroom so I could just like lay there because I didn't want to get up because, still have to push out baby B. So I just remember pictures of like looking back at pictures, giving baby A to my husband, and then, baby B just, like, came out very quickly, and just l we both laid there with our babies and,
Hmm.
just got stitched up right there, and then we just went over um, to my bed, but definitely was like, oh, so hard trying to get up after you give birth." Definitely needed some help there.
I just love though that you were able to go straight to your bed. So
Mhm.
I will say with my daughter, when we were in the hospital, we were afraid to
Yeah.
leave. We were like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, all the nurses are helping us. Like, please
Yeah.
help
It's the
us.
best.
With the boys, we like
Mhm.
wanted to leave so bad. We wanted to get back home
Yeah.
to our daughter. And,
Mhm.
with twins, first of all, we couldn't all lay in the bed together. It's a hospital bed. So there was
Oh, right.
no like canoodling the four of us.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then with twins, and I was technically a patient also,
Mhm.
our room was being disturbed, I mean, every 30 minutes. It was like someone
Yeah.
coming in to check on the babies, and my boys didn't have
Right.
NICU time, but there was
That's
still
great.
so
Yeah.
much, like, intervention
Coming
and
in.
checks and all of that. I was grateful that they were making sure that everyone was, like, safe, but I was
Right.
so tired. I was
Yeah.
like, "I just need to." I remember when we left, my husband was like, "I actually don't feel like I can safely drive the 4 of us home. Like, I can't."
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause he,
Mhm,
was there and he's
mhm,
tired too.
mhm. I mean,
Yeah.
sleeping on, like, a chair for I think we were in the
Mhm.
hospital for 5 nights, so,
Okay, yeah.
um
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you didn't get the best sleep sleeping on a chair.
mhm. So, I love that. I mean, that is a huge benefit of a home birth is that you are in your safe space, and then
Yeah.
you get to just be home. That's
Mhm.
incredible, and just what an amazing story. And
Mhm.
I know that you were talking about tips for like an
Mhm.
unmedicated labor.
For sure.
And can you talk more about that? I've heard about, I know that you didn't necessarily use a comb, but you had something
Mhm.
similar. I've heard of that, like managing pain in that way. And
Mhm.
what are other tips that you use to have an unmedicated birth? Because you also had an unmedicated birth with your daughter just in a birth center, right?
For sure. Yeah, I would say a couple things, for just helping with the intensity of labor. Being in the water, there's something
Mm,
so powerful about being in the water when you're laboring. I don't know what it is, but it really, like, reduces, like, the pain intensity of it. And just practicing breathing before you give birth so it's, like, natural. A couple things that people do, they might do wall sits and breathe through it because it's like, a full body workout.
mm,
Some people do, like, this holding
mm,
ice for a minute and breathing through that. So it's just really about practicing breathing through it, asking yourself, why do I want an unmedicated birth? Because we're going to get to a point in the birth where it's going to be so intense that we're not going to want an unmedicated birth when we
mhm,
get to that transition moment. So what are you going to do during that moment? Um, maybe having your partner speak life over you, encouraging you, that is very helpful. Getting the oxytocin from what makes you feel safe. So that could be just like dim lights, special music that you love, like a playlist, really trying not to be interrupted. And so if most people are going to give birth in a hospital, like 98% of moms are, and so some tips that I would share if you're wanting like an unmedicated birth in the hospital for twins is laboring at home as long as possible, as long as you don't have a medical condition that usually can be very helpful. Is laboring as long as possible of like where you get to that point where you can't talk through
mm,
contractions, where it's like, okay, I'm in active labor. Might be good to go to the hospital now. So when you are leaving your house, that can be a little bit of a disruption, so maybe wearing, like, sunglasses. I know that's so weird. If it's, like, in the middle of the day or, yeah, even at night because all the bright lights of, like, going in the hospital, it's, like, super bright lights. Um, and so maybe having, like, headphones on so you're not disturbed. So that's one thing, laboring as long as possible if you are gonna be going to the hospital. The second thing would be if there's no emergency, if everything's okay, avoiding the IV at the beginning, just so that you can like move around and there's not like a bunch of stuff attached to you where it's hard to like move around. That can be helpful if you're comfortable with that, or like getting just the beginning piece of, like, the IV in
Mhm.
where,
And then
I'm
having
talking
it, like,
not
plugged.
yes, and not having it connected to anything in the moment, if that's what you desire. And I have a few other things. Limiting cervical checks at the beginning because that's kind of like a disruption, and it's usually like a disappointment because you could go, like I said, you could go from 1 to 9 centimeters real quick or like 5 to 9 centimeters, and so I always find it disappointing, and it can mess with you mentally. Um, and sometimes when you are in, like, triage, they really want that to kinda see where you're at. You could always say, "You can, just check me physically of, like, if I'm not talking, like, I'm
Hmm.
obviously deep in labor," if you don't want a cervical check. Sometimes cervical checks are helpful, like, in my situation. And the other thing is if you have no medical problems, if baby's doing okay, intermittent monitoring instead of continuous monitoring so you can move around a little bit more. And so every couple contractions, my midwives would check on the baby's heart rate. That's like waterproof, like Doppler. So it's not like they weren't checking on the baby or anything. They were, I guess that was intermittent monitoring. And then like when it was getting more intense, they would check like every other contraction. And so that can be really helpful for like hospital birth and like home birth. Yeah, any of those things using something to squeeze that can really help just during those contractions. But also when we are feeling tight and our jaw is tight and we're tightening up every contraction, our body receives it as like fear and like something's wrong. And so that can really make those contractions even more painful. And so, like, really, like, dropping your jaw, dropping your shoulders. I remember a moment I'm just like this on the toilet because sometimes sitting on the toilet backwards can, like, help you dilate, but I'm, like, really tight and tense, and my midwife is like, "Okay, let's relax our shoulders. Let's relax our jaw." And so really it's hard to do, but just really trying to relax your body,
Hmm.
um, just with each contraction instead of, like, screaming high-pitched tones that really is not helpful because it makes you feel unsafe and you're really tight, and so, like, really low
Hmm.
moaning like a cow, mooing like a cow, even roaring is, like, okay too because it can be kind of, like, deep deeper, where it's like you're going downward. Yeah, so avoiding those, like, really high pitch, like, screaming if possible. I know that can be hard when it's, like, really intense. But it is possible to have a unmedicated birth and with twins. It's not always easy. Birth in general is not easy.
Love that though. And I feel like one thing that stuck out to me with in your story was when you said that you were feeling stuck, so that
Mhm.
you wanted to kind of like take a break and go have some one-on-one time with your husband and just like
Yep.
snuggle and like hug. And, I
Mhm.
that's your safe space. So of course that's going to make you relax. And that really stuck out to me. Like, I think
Mhm.
that's something that people just overlook, and it's, actually something so simple to do, to like hug your person.
Yeah.
It sounded like that's what kind of like shifted in your story,
Mhm.
was like, wow,
Yep.
something that you think is so little, it was really impactful. And
Mhm.
I wish that I would have done that. I was so tense in labor, especially with my daughter. I was trying to breathe through the contractions,
It's hard.
and I didn't do the practice that you talked about, and I think all the tips that you gave with, like, breathing through things like holding ice and doing wall sits and having those things to practice, so that when you are actually in the moment of more intensity
Mhm.
and being uncomfortable and having that pain, that you actually know how to breathe through and handle it. So I
Yeah.
think those tips are really helpful.
Mhm.
And I know we also talked offline about some things in pregnancy and birth are out of our control, but there
Mhm.
are some things that we can do to positively impact our pregnancy and birth. And what are some of those like tips that you would give to mamas?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, where it's like we can't control birth and the birth outcome, but we can set a foundation for, like, the health for ourself and for our baby. And what I noticed with compared to my singleton to my twins or just that pregnancy was I was, like, really, inflamed, I
Mm,
would say, with my singleton compared to my twins, which is so wild to me. I obviously was still, like I gained weight, of course, like we all do, but noticed I was not swollen as much.
hmm,
And a couple things that I was encouraged to do, my midwife in Oregon said with twins, there's this like diet. It's called the brewer's diet. And there was this OB in the 60s that believed that maybe there was a connection with moms who didn't eat enough protein, didn't eat enough minerals and salt that could be connected to preeclampsia. And with twins, you do have a higher risk of preeclampsia. And I was told that by a couple people, by my midwife, by the high risk doctors. And usually the high risk doctors or just, OBs in general might recommend like aspirin or low dose aspirin, which could be helpful. Anyway, I ended up just focusing on my diet. So, kind of crazy, but I that diet encourages you to eat 150 grams of protein daily.
wow.
I did not always reach that. It was usually between like 130 and 150. And
It's still
so,
great
yeah, it
and
definitely was
hard.
like, yeah, definitely had to kind of like plan out the meals. And so, not saying that that's going to completely reduce preeclampsia, but it might help potentially. And so I did notice kinda a difference there. So just yeah, high protein, lots of minerals, lots of electrolytes. Okay.
So, what's interesting is towards the end, so the goal was for me to make it to 38 weeks. And then I
Mhm.
think at like my 36-week scan, the boys just were not growing. They had interuterine growth restriction.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
maybe that was even earlier. Maybe at like 35 weeks, they started to be like, they're really not growing. So I asked my
Mhm.
high risk doctor, okay, is there anything I can do about that? And she said,
Yeah.
eat more protein.
Wow, I love that.
Hmm.
Yes, come
So
on.
I wish that I would have. I mean, it was so hard in my early pregnancy. I don't know if you had this too. I had severe nausea.
Mm.
I was throwing up constantly. I remember my daughter would narrate it. Like I'd be making her lunch, like,
Ugh.
and she was like, "Oh, that was a big one, Mom." I'm like,
Oh
"I'm
my
so glad I
goodness.
have an audience right now."
Yeah.
I just was so sick, and it did subside, which I'm so thankful for. But I wish I would
Mhm.
have gotten that advice earlier so that I could have maybe, I don't know if I could have fully prevented the growth restriction, but if I could have done something to help earlier on, I
Mhm.
know I wasn't eating enough protein because I probably wasn't eating enough in general, especially those
Right.
first like 16 weeks. I could barely
Mhm.
keep down toast. I mean, it
That's
was
so hard, like, what do you even do in that situation? You can't even, like, keep down toast.
I did an episode recently with Allegra from Aloha Nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. She has so many great tips and she's super big on everything you're talking about. High
Mhm.
protein, minerals,
Oh,
electrolytes.
love it.
And she
Mhm.
had great tips for nausea. I'm
Mm.
like, I wish that
Oh,
I would
love
have like
that.
had this conversation with you years ago.
Yes.
And she was just
Oh.
saying there are so many high protein carbohydrate
Mhm,
options
mhm.
nowadays. Like,
Yes,
if
yes.
you only want pancakes, we'll look into high protein. There,
Mm.
Kodiak brand, or there are so
Yes.
many.
Yes,
I'm
where you
like,
could just add in
oh,
the ingredients, kinda, like, hide
yes.
it a little bit.
Yes, so I'm like, "Oh,
Yes.
that's," she had a lot of good tips like that.
Mhm.
So, but again, I'm like, I didn't have those tools, 4 years ago. So, but you
Yeah.
live and you learn. So if you're
Yeah.
listening, eat more protein.
Mhm. It really does help with, like just so we have so much more blood that we need for ourselves and for the baby. Our bodies just need so much more protein to carry our little ones. I was also just gonna share, this herb that I use, dandelion root. So
Mm,
I there's probably no research on it. I haven't looked, but a lot of moms swear by it where it's for your liver and it's supposed to just without being super intense, but just naturally help your liver do its thing. And your liver could be maybe connected to the swelling, and so if your liver's working properly, it could help reduce swelling. So I used that and noticed a big difference. I don't know if
mhm.
it was specifically because of taking dandelion, like, root tincture. I could not take the tea every day, that was too much work, but taking a little tincture every day, that's what I did.
I feel like anything like that is helpful, and I think Allegra this is a little bit different, it wasn't talking about, like, swelling
Yeah.
and liver function per se, it was
Mhm.
more, like, blood flow, which
Blood flow,
obviously
yeah.
like, I have, like, some blood clotting issues, I
Yeah.
have a genetic disorder, and she was talking about beetroot, and there
Mm.
actually are studies, I think they're only in mice, but there's still,
Okay.
like, something showing that it's can improve, like, blood flow and oxygenation and,
Whoa.
you know
Super
but I'm
cool.
like, "Oh,
Beetroot.
cool."
Dang.
Yes. So, I'm like, again, I not that I would have not taken the Lovenox, but
Oh, for
I would
sure.
have
Yeah.
added beetroot to
Yeah.
I'm like, "Man, I just
I didn't
learned every time I talk to someone, I feel like I learned
Mhm.
so much. So, again, I have learned
Mhm.
so much from you also, and
Yeah.
I just wish we would have had this conversation a long time ago.
I know, me too. I hadn't heard of the dandelion root, or maybe I did, I just didn't take it, and I was like I remember my ring, I couldn't wear it, and I was able to wear my ring, I'm pretty sure, like, throughout the entire pregnancy with my twins. I don't remember switching rings, so the second time around. So, yeah, you just learn each time.
Mhm. No, learn from my mistakes and things I wish I could change.
And I was just gonna add really quick, when it comes to, like, hospital birth, you can do all the right things and be prepared for, like, unmedicated hospital birth, and sometimes just, like, the hospital, like, routines, make it a little bit hard to do that, and so just, like, understanding how hospitals work, um, and just that they do have, like, routine things that might come in, um and just check on you. Just, asking to not be disturbed as much to kinda help
Mhm,
you into to labor. Couple things is, doctors are gonna do their job and they might recommend things that might come up. And so when things come up and they're like, "Okay, we need to do a cervical check," or like, you know, "You've been laboring for a long time. Why don't we do some Pitocin to kind of move things along?" When those things come up and you're still really wanting to have the unmedicated birth, there's this really great acronym. It's called BRAIN, and B is like benefits. What are the benefits of this suggestion? What are the risks of example, like Pitocin? So share with me what those side effects are, complications, share with me the benefits. What are some alternatives? Like, what can I try instead? Okay, I'm gonna try different positions. Just give me some time to do this. And then intuition. What is your gut feeling? What is your gut saying? What do you feel like you need to do in this moment? And then the last one in is like nothing. What happens if we choose to wait in this moment, delay it an hour? Um, and so like using that example of like Pitocin, like, hey, is baby okay? Am I okay? Let's let's wait an hour, come back, and we'll see where we're at. And so that can be really helpful when, doctors are just doing their job. They just want to make sure that you're doing okay, baby's doing okay. So just wanted to share that.
I love that. I think that's super helpful and easy to remember. So when
Mhm.
you are in a high pressure situation like birth and you're feeling pressured, that you can kind of take a moment to pause and go through that acronym. I really
Mhm.
like that very
And
much.
ha and having them leave the room while you process and not making a
Mm,
decision while they're still there. Say, "Hey, like, me
mm,
and my partner are gonna talk about this. I'm gonna have you come back." I think that's really important because that pressure can be, like, hard when they're, like, in the room and you need time to actually, like, process it.
mhm. Yeah, I love that, and I think that's so helpful and beneficial for moms to hear.
Yeah.
In so many decisions, I feel like birth is obviously a huge one, but I feel like in lots of things, I'm like, I need to just use that all the time.
For anything. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good one.
I love that. Okay, so you have a podcast also.
I do, yes.
Can you tell us about it and what sparked I mean, I feel like this
Mm,
conversation will make it clear.
right,
But yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so just having the boys at home, I just wanted to create a space for moms to feel empowered, so just having, like, experts on my podcast, about birth, about, like, health. We've talked a little bit about just health in your pregnancy. So I've had different experts on, like, ancestral nutrition for moms who, are into that sort of thing and the benefits of, things like high protein that we talked about, what that can and help create a foundation for you and your baby. I've had, if you've heard of Dr. Stu, I was talking about him and how he has trained midwives, and he has a lot of, like, the research and, like, the wording that I can't communicate because I'm not an expert in that, of, like, here's the studies, here's the information about stillbirths, here's the information about inductions because I don't have that kind of knowledge. And so bringing on people just like different doulas who have really great tips on birth. And I I had my birth photographer on recently just
Oh,
to
that's
share.
cool.
Yeah, she's been to like 1,000 births. Rather than you having to like search on your own to find how to breathe through labor, how to have an unmedicated birth, or like the research. It's like I'm creating a space for that. I want moms to feel empowered about their birth because, it's going to be with them the rest of their lives. And, moms knowing that they can make informed decisions, I think is so powerful. To know that they are the ones who make that decision, those
Mhm,
decisions for their births. And that it's not your doctor who does that. They can make recommendations, but, like, really trusting your intuition. Obviously, like, if your baby's got medical issues or you have a medical condition, I think it's really important to do, what you need to do with, taking care of yourself and getting that support as well. And, there are moms who maybe don't have a condition and don't have complications, and maybe they want that vaginal unmedicated birth in the hospital or at home. And just knowing that there are options, even where it seems like there are no options. There are midwives out there, if you want that, who have gotten this training. Maybe your baby is breech and your OB doesn't do breech vaginal births, they only do C-sections. Um, it's heartbreaking where that's like your only option. But there are midwives, if that's the route you want to go, who are trained in that, who have gotten trained by Dr. Stu. And it's extensive like training. Um, and so just know that there are options for you. You're not
mhm.
stuck with just one option.
I think that's huge, and there's, like, strength in numbers, right? So being able to hear, like, from the experts about
Mhm.
other vaginal unmedicated deliveries that it is possible and you can do it, and, like,
Yeah.
here's how. I think that's
Mhm.
so important and, like you said, so empowering for moms to hear who are looking
Yeah.
for that. So
And I
that's so awesome.
never thank you. And I just never wanna overlook the moms whose twins spent time in the NICU or had a traumatic birth, because their stories matter deeply. And the medical, intervention that they had was absolutely needed, and so there's a
Hmm.
time and place for that. And for those who are, wanting some options, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to get a second opinion. If your provider is not respecting you, not honoring you, you can find a new one. Like, you're the one paying them, okay? Um, they work for you. And so you're allowed to choose the path that feels right for you.
Hmm. I think that's very well said. Like you are not stuck in a doctor's office if things aren't feeling right, then you have every right to look for another doctor, a second opinion. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And nothing is risk-free. Home birth is not
Mm.
risk-free, hospital is not risk-free. So it's important to know the benefits and the risks of every situation. So I think that is important to know as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. And where can people connect with you and listen to the podcast? I will, of course, put all that stuff in the show notes. But
Yes. Yeah, my Instagram is Whole Birth Wellness with Vic, and the podcast is Whole Birth Wellness. Um, yeah.
awesome. And I always end every podcast with asking if you could have a heart to heart with a twin
Mm,
mom or give her a piece of advice. What would you say?
yeah, I would say it is possible to have babies that are, like, full term. It's possible to for them to have a healthy birth weight, possible for you to have, like, no complications. Um, and so know that there are moms out there that do experience that you're not pigeonholed to do one thing or have one outcome. If you are desiring, more options, that is possible.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that, and it's so true. Well, thank you for all of your insight,
Yeah.
and okay, I saw a quote recently, and I feel like it's been this whole episode is, like, reminding me of that, is, like, be be the example or be the reason that other moms think they can.
Yeah,
And I think,
so good.
you know right? It's so good, and I think sometimes we think in our head like, "Oh, I wanna do that, but I can't because I have twins," or
Yep.
whatever, fill in the blank, right? So, I think what you're doing is so great and just showing that moms can do it. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's really cool when I there's strangers who ask me about my birth experience because, everyone wants to know about that with twins because it's very unique. And I get to share that I had my babies at home, and I have noticed that people are, like, blown away that, like, we can actually birth our babies, vaginally, and
mhm,
somehow it is possible. It's super wild to process that, but it's just, like, so cool what we can do as moms.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and that is so true. I feel like we didn't really get into this on this podcast, but when you have twins, I feel like strangers, like, immediately have no boundaries,
No boundaries.
and yeah, and I feel like for the most part, I'm happy to answer questions as long as they're not, like, inappropriate or rude.
Yeah.
But that's a question I get often is like, "Oh, did you
Mm.
have a C-section?" I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, no, I actually had them vaginally," and people
Incredible. Like,
are
what?
shocked. Mhm,
Like,
and I'm like,
they let you do that?
"Yes, I that exactly." They're like, they didn't know that was an option,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a big part of that is, like, being an advocate for yourself, that if you want
Mm,
it, it's not impossible, so,
yes. Oh, love it. This was, like,
yay.
truly such a fun conversation. Thank you for making it so fun and, like, back and forth, and, like, I'm always the one having someone on my podcast, so it's just really just so lovely being on your podcast.
Yes, it was so fun. I had such a good time. I feel like we could have so many more episodes.
We really could.
This episode is brought to you by Thrive Market. Looking for healthy snacks delivered straight to your door? I got you. As a mom of three littles, I'm always trying to find ways to make my life easier. I've really been enjoying Thrive Market. They carry all of my favorite organic brands I don't feel guilty giving my kids. It's not just a market for food. I recently ordered a mineral sunscreen stick and fragrance-free bath bomb for my kids. Use my link in the show notes to get $20 off your first three orders and a free gift. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy twin mom life to listen along. I hope this podcast shed some light on a topic that's been on your heart and gave you more confidence as a twin mama. If you know a twin mom, please send this her way. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Check out the show notes to be connected with today's guest and get discount codes for brands I love. See you next Thursday. Until then, you were made for this.